Motivation gets you going. Discipline keeps you growing. Let me ask you a question. What do you do when the excitement fades? When the crowd is gone? When no one's watching? When that fire you felt yesterday feels more like smoke today? You see, everybody's motivated on day one. Everybody's excited when it's fresh, when it's fun, when it's new. But the real test, is what you do on day 27. When you're tired, when it's boring, when no one claps, and when quitting looks easier than continuing. That's when champions are made. Not when they feel like it, but when they don't. Let me give it to you straight. If you only work when you're motivated, you'll never master anything. Because motivation is a visitor. It comes and goes. But discipline, that's a resident. That's a decision. That's what shows up, even when your feelings don't. And here's the truth, most people don't want to hear. Your future won't be built by mood. It'll be built by method, by what you do consistently, not occasionally. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to keep showing up when motivation doesn't. How to build a system so strong, you don't have to feel ready. You just act. Because success isn't about how loud you start. It's about how long you stay the course. Let's begin. Understand the game. Motivation is a visitor, not a resident. Now listen carefully. Motivation is a wonderful thing. It's the spark that lights the fire. It gets you off the couch. It gets you out of bed. It makes you feel like today is the day. But here's the truth. Most folks never learn. Motivation is not built to stay. It's a visitor, not a resident. It comes knocking on your door in the morning, and by evening, it's gone. You ever had a Monday where you were fired up? You had your goals written, your shoes laced, your plan set, and then by Thursday, you're scrolling, snacking, and saying maybe next week. That's motivation. It's emotional. It's fragile. It's fleeting. And if you don't understand that, you'll build your life on a broken foundation. So let's get something straight. If your success depends on being motivated, you're in trouble. Because the winners, the real achievers, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on systems. They rely on habits. They rely on values. They understand motivation is for amateurs, but discipline is for professionals. Now don't get me wrong, motivation has its place. It's a great starter, but it's a terrible driver. Think of it like this. Motivation is the match. Discipline is the firewood. One burns out in seconds. The other keeps you warm through the night. You need both, but don't confuse their roles. Here's what I learned early. You must stop waiting to feel like it, and start doing it until it feels right. Feelings are wonderful passengers, but terrible leaders. They're too emotional, too unpredictable. Discipline says, I go to work, whether I feel like it or not. Discipline shows up. Discipline keeps its promises. Discipline doesn't ask for permission. It just gets it done. And here's the secret. When you act without motivation, that's when you grow the most. That's when your character gets forged. That's when the roots go deep. Because anybody can act when they're inspired. But it takes a real leader, a real builder, to act when the spark is gone. Let me tell you what most people do. They chase motivation, like a drug. They scroll for the next quote, the next video, the next voice that makes them feel ready. But life isn't about feeling ready. It's about being responsible. Discipline says, I made a decision, and now I follow through. Motivation asks, do I feel like it today? Discipline says, that's irrelevant. So what's the action step? Here it is, and don't miss it. Decide today that motivation is a luxury, not a requirement. It's nice when it shows up, but you don't need it to move. Set your routine, create your plan, stick to it. Treat your goals like a job, not a hobby. Treat your habits like a covenant, not a convenience. And remember, consistency beats intensity when intensity is inconsistent. You don't need more hype. You need more honor to your word, your goals, your future. That's how you win the game. Clarity creates consistency. Know exactly what you want. Now listen, this part's critical. If you're struggling to stay consistent, if you find yourself drifting, distracted, or discouraged, there's a good chance you're not lazy. You're just unclear. When the promise is clear, the price is easy. That's one of the best lessons I ever learned. You see, clarity is the foundation of consistency. Because when you know exactly what you want, with no fuzz, no fog, no guesswork, it becomes a whole lot easier to keep showing up. Let me give it to you straight. Vague goals produce vague results. And worse, they produce vague effort. I want to get in shape. What does that mean? How many pounds? By when? What's the plan? I want to make more money. How much more? For what purpose? I want to improve. Improve what? In what area? According to whose standards? Ambiguity kills action. Precision fuels it. So if you're tired of starting and stopping, If you're tired of fading out when motivation fades, start by asking yourself, what do I really want? And how will I know when I've got it? Let me give you an example. When I was broke and discouraged, I didn't just say, I want to be successful. No, I wrote it down. I want to earn $100,000 per year. I want a new car. I want to travel. I want to help my family. I want to become a teacher of success principles. Clear, measurable, specific. That clarity changed everything, because once I knew what I wanted, I could design the daily disciplines to get there. I didn't need to be motivated every day. I just needed to stay pointed in the right direction. Clarity does three powerful things. 1, it energizes you. Knowing your target gives you purpose. And purpose is stronger than feelings. It makes you jump out of bed instead of rolling over. 2, it simplifies your decisions. You stop chasing distractions. You stop getting pulled in 5 directions. You start asking, does this move me closer to my goal or not? 3, it keeps you honest. When your goals are written, specific, and visible, they hold you accountable. No more hiding behind someday. No more pretending you're working when you're really just busy. Now let me challenge you. Don't just think about what you want. Write it, speak it, define it. Make it so clear you could explain it to a stranger in 30 seconds. Want to lose weight? How many pounds? By what date? Want to earn more? How much? From what source? Want a better life? What does that actually look like? Day to day. The clearer your picture, the steadier your steps. Because here's what happens when you lack clarity. You hesitate, you overthink, you waste energy chasing things that don't matter. And worst of all, you lose confidence in yourself. But when you gain clarity, you gain power. You give your mind something to aim at, and a mind with a target. That's a powerful weapon. You don't need more willpower. You need aim. So here's your action step. And don't skip this. Take 10 minutes after this video and write down your top 3 goals. Make them clear, specific, measurable. Then ask, what's the one thing I can do today that moves me toward that? That's how clarity becomes consistency, not through hype, but through habit. Daily action tied to a crystal clear vision. Because remember, the man with a clear purpose walks straighter than the man chasing a feeling. Anchor to purpose. Your why must outweigh your mood. Let me tell you something simple, but life-changing. When the why gets strong, the how gets easy. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because their reasons aren't strong enough. They drift, they delay, they disappear, not from lack of skill, but from lack of purpose. Motivation fades, moods change, feelings are fickle, but purpose anchors you. Now let's get honest. You ever had one of those days where you just didn't feel like it, didn't feel like working out, didn't feel like building the business, didn't feel like following through on what you said last week when you were motivated? Of course you have. We all have. But here's what separates the successful from the stuck. Purpose-driven people do it anyway. They don't wait to feel like it. They remember why they started. See your why, that deep reason you started. It must be bigger than your mood, because your mood can shift with the weather, with a rude comment, with a bad night's sleep. But purpose is unshakable. It's the reason you keep going when the excitement wears off. And I'll tell you, if you don't have that kind of reason, you'll quit the first time life gets hard. You'll say, it's too much. You'll say, I'll start again Monday. You'll say, I'm not feeling it anymore. And just like that, the dream dies. So let me ask you right now, what's your why? Why do you want the goal? Why do you want the change? Why is this non-negotiable? Don't give me something shallow like, I want to be rich. That's a result, not a reason. Give me something real. Give me something that stirs your soul. I want to retire my parents. I want my kids to have what I never had. I want to prove to myself that I can become the man or woman I was meant to be. Now that's a why. And here's the trick, friend. You've got to keep that reason in front of you. Every day. Write it, read it, speak it. Let it echo in your mind when your body says, let's take the day off. Because when the reason is strong enough, the sacrifice won't feel so painful. The hard days won't knock you out. The obstacles won't make you retreat. They'll remind you that you're on the right path. Weak reasons create weak results. Strong reasons build unstoppable resolve. And let me say this, if your why doesn't bring a lump to your throat, if it doesn't get you emotional, if it doesn't make you sit up straighter when you say it, then it's not strong enough. You've got to go deeper. Find the fuel that lasts longer than hype. Now here's your assignment. Don't skip this. Take 5 minutes after this chapter and write the answer to this question. Why must I succeed? Not why you should. Not why it'd be nice. But why you must. Tape that to your wall. Put it on your phone, make it your screensaver. And when your motivation fades, because it will, come back to your why. Because that's what champions do. They don't chase emotion, they anchor to meaning. You see, when your vision pulls at your heart, you'll move your feet, whether you feel like it or not. That's how purpose works. It's not a push, it's a pull. And the stronger the pull, the stronger the person. Build habits, so you don't have to decide every day. Let me tell you one of the most powerful secrets I ever learned. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. And here's what I discovered early on. If you have to decide every day whether to do the thing, whether to show up, whether to eat right, whether to make the calls, whether to read the book, you're already behind. Because when success becomes a daily debate, it loses. The achievers, the builders, the ones who finish what they start, they don't wait to decide. They build habits so the decision is already made. Let me say it plainly. Habits are stronger than moods. You don't need to be strong every day. You just need systems that work on the days you don't. You ever brush your teeth and say, I don't feel motivated today. I think I'll skip it. Of course not. It's automatic. It's routine. That's the power of habit. It frees you from the daily emotional tug of war. You stop having to feel like it, because it's just what you do. Now here's the good news. You don't need to change your life overnight. You just need to build one habit at a time. Wake up and stretch. Read 10 pages a day. Write your goals down every morning. Make the calls before noon. Save 10% of everything you earn. Simple things, small things, but practice daily. That's how you go from average to excellent. Let me break it down even further. 1. Start tiny, but stay daily. Don't try to run a marathon on day 1. Walk around the block. Don't write a novel this week. Write 1 page. Success isn't about how much you do today. It's about what you keep doing every day. 2. Attach your new habit to something you already do. After coffee, journal. After your workout, visualize your goals. Before bed, reflect on the day. Stack your habits and they'll become seamless. 3. Design your environment for success. Leave the book on the table. Put your shoes by the door. Turn off notifications. Make it easy to start, hard to avoid. Now here's a mistake most people make. They try to use willpower to create consistency. But willpower is limited. It fades. It drains. It burns out. Habits, on the other hand, habits are dependable. Habits don't ask questions. Habits don't negotiate. Don't rely on will. Rely on systems. That's what I did. I had my reading habit, my journaling habit, my savings habit, and I didn't wait for the mood. I followed the method. And here's the real payoff. When you live by habit, you build identity. You stop saying I'm trying to write, and you start saying I'm a writer. You stop saying I'm working on my health, and you start living like someone who's healthy. Because habits aren't just actions, they're proof of who you're becoming. So here's your challenge. Pick one habit today, just one. Make it simple, make it daily. Then track it for the next 30 days. No 0 days, no perfection, just participation. Because consistency isn't built on how much you do. It's built on how often you do it. You don't need to overhaul your life. You need to automate your progress. One habit, one day, then repeat. And when your habits are strong enough, you won't need to decide anymore. You'll just do. That's when you win. Quietly, consistently, daily. Let's keep the momentum going. Track progress. What gets measured gets done. Let me tell you something powerful. You can't improve what you don't track, and you won't respect what you don't measure. Everybody wants progress, but most people never track it. And that's the problem. You see, when there's no scoreboard, there's no urgency. When there's no proof, there's no pride. When there's no measurement, you lose momentum, because you don't even know if you're winning. Let me ask you a question. If I followed you around for a week, would I see your progress, or would I just hear about your effort? Because effort without tracking is like pouring water into a bucket with no bottom. You're doing the work, but you have no idea what's happening to it. Success isn't just about working hard, it's about working smart, and smart people track. Let me give you a few reasons why this matters. 1. Tracking builds clarity. When you write things down, workouts, income, habits, goals, you create a mirror. You see what's working, and what isn't. No guessing, no illusions, just facts. Numbers never lie, but people often do. 2. Tracking builds momentum. You see the streak, you see the reps, you start stacking wins, and those little wins, They build confidence. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. And the best way to feel progress is to see it. 3. Tracking creates accountability. When you write it down, it becomes real. When you measure it, you're responsible for it. No more pretending you're doing better than you are. No more vague trying. Tracking says, here's the truth, and truth is where growth begins. Now listen, this doesn't have to be complicated. Use a notebook, use an app, use a whiteboard, use your phone, but don't keep it all in your head. That's a trap. You say, Jim, I don't like tracking. Let me tell you, neither did I. Until I realized I was losing battles I didn't even know I was fighting. When I started tracking my reading, my savings, my goals, I started owning my results. Here's a secret. Tracking is how you stay consistent when motivation fades. It becomes your scoreboard. It becomes your silent coach. You look back at the week and say, look at what I did, even on the hard days. That's how you build self-respect. And let me tell you, self-respect is one of the greatest forms of fuel you'll ever find. When you see progress, you keep pushing. When you see results, you raise your standards. When you see the streak, you don't want to break it. So here's your assignment. Pick one area right now: fitness, finances, business, relationships, and start tracking. How many pages did you read? How much did you save? How many workouts this week? How many hours did you invest in your dream? Write it, count it, celebrate it. You don't have to share it with the world, but you owe it to yourself to keep score, because what gets measured gets managed. What gets measured gets respected, and what gets measured gets done. Master the boring. Success is hidden in the mundane. Let me tell you something most people never understand. Success isn't usually loud. It's quiet. It's not flashy. It's boring, but it works. Everybody wants the exciting part, the big leap, the viral moment, the spotlight. But success is built in the ordinary. It's built in the repetition. It's built in the things you do when no one's clapping and no one's watching. You want to win? Fall in love with the boring. Because if you can't handle boredom, you'll never handle greatness. Let me break this down. The habits that lead to extraordinary success, they're not glamorous. They're simple. Reading 10 pages a day, making the call even when you don't feel like it, showing up to the gym when it's raining, planning your day before the day begins, reviewing your goals when no one else is talking about theirs. None of those things sound epic, but do them for 30, 60, 90 days, and everything changes. Now here's where most people go wrong. They confuse boredom with failure. They think, this isn't exciting anymore. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Wrong. Consistency isn't supposed to be exciting. It's supposed to be effective. The boring work, that's the refining work. That's where you sharpen your tools, build your strength, and gain the edge. Let me give you an example. A farmer plants a seed, then he waters it. He doesn't dig it up every day to check on it. He just waters it, over and over again, day after day, the same routine. And guess what? Eventually it grows. But only if he's stuck with the boring part. See, the boring stuff tests your commitment. It separates the emotional from the intentional. It asks, do you want this for real, or just for fun? Because anybody can show up when it's fresh, but champions show up when it's familiar. And the secret is this: repetition creates mastery. You want to get good? Do it once. You want to get great? Do it every day. You say, Jim, I want more success. Great. Do the same small things, better, longer, deeper. The real success lives in the details. Most people are bored, looking for secrets, while the winners are mastering the basics. So what's the takeaway? Don't run from the routine. Don't resent repetition. Respect it, because the mundane, the routine, the quiet, that's where the gold is buried. Small hinges swing big doors, and most of the time, the door to your next level, it's hidden behind one more week of the same daily disciplines. Here's your challenge. This week, double down on the boring. Write the plan. Follow it. Don't skip steps. Do the workout even if it's the same as last week. Make the calls even if it feels repetitive. Track your numbers even if they move slow. Because here's the truth. Success doesn't get bored. It gets built. Renew the mind daily. Feed the fire. Let me tell you what I've learned after mentoring thousands of people. You can't live a first-class life on second-rate thinking. If you want to stay consistent when the feelings fade, if you want to keep pushing when the excitement disappears, you must renew your mind daily. Not once, not twice, every single day. Why? Because the fire inside you, it burns out without fuel. Here's the truth. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't intentionally plant the right seeds, the weeds grow automatically. Negative news, discouraging voices, old beliefs, doubt, fear, they creep in. Not because you invited them, but because you didn't block the door. Stand guard at the door of your mind. I've said it for years, and I'll say it again. Most people feed their bodies 3 times a day, but their minds, once a month. If that, then they wonder why they feel uninspired, why they're distracted, why they keep quitting. Simple, they're starving their fire. If you want to stay consistent, you have to feed your philosophy. You have to strengthen your mindset. You have to build mental resilience. On purpose. That's the real secret. It's not motivation. It's mental nutrition. So here's the question. What are you feeding your mind today? What did you listen to this morning? What book are you reading this week? What voices are influencing your thoughts? Because input always precedes output, and weak input leads to inconsistent effort. But when your mind is strong, your body follows, your habits follow, your results follow. Now let me give you some simple practices that changed my life. 1. Read something positive. Every single day. 10 minutes in the morning can change your entire day. Read good books. Read biographies. Read truth, not just noise. Remember, poor people have big TVs. Rich people have big libraries. 2. Listen to audio that lifts you. In the car, at the gym, on a walk. Turn your downtime into prime time. Put the right voices in your ears, and you'll start hearing them in your head when things get tough. 3. Write down your goals daily. Why? Because repetition builds belief, and when you believe in the vision, the effort becomes automatic. 4. Review your progress every week. Reflection is fuel. When you see the wins, the lessons, the effort, it reignites the flame. And here's what happens when you feed your mind daily. You don't just stay consistent, you become convicted. You don't need a cheerleader, you've got clarity. You stop depending on moods. You start running on mission. Look, it's easy to lose focus. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to forget what you're working toward, unless you remind yourself daily. That's the key. Motivation doesn't last, but neither does bathing. That's why we recommend both daily. So here's your challenge for the week. Feed your mind before you feed your phone. Give your brain 10 good minutes before you give the world your attention. Read, listen, reflect, repeat, because a renewed mind creates renewed momentum. Use environment to your advantage. Don't fight alone. Let me give you a truth that most people ignore. You can't soar with eagles if you keep scratching with the chickens. Now don't get offended, but hear me carefully. You can have all the goals in the world. You can have the best habits, the clearest vision, the strongest desire. But if your environment doesn't support your growth, it will suffocate your success. See, we often underestimate the power of where we are and who we're with. We think we're strong enough to stay focused in a place full of distraction. We think we're disciplined enough to stay positive around people full of negativity. We think we're consistent enough to push forward, even when everything around us is pulling us back. But I'll tell you right now, environment always wins. Eventually, it shapes you. It influences your mindset. It dictates your standards. You ever notice this? Put a healthy person in a house full of junk food, and over time, they'll snack. Put a motivated dreamer in a room full of complainers, and soon, they'll doubt. Put a sharp, focused individual in a chaotic, cluttered space, and slowly their edge dulls. Why? Because environment isn't just where you live, it's what you absorb. So here's the big idea for this chapter. Don't fight your goals. Fight for your environment. Set it up so it works for you, not against you. If your house is full of distractions, organize it. If your workspace is messy, clean it. If your friends don't support your growth, it may be time to upgrade your circle. Now I know that's hard to hear, but you're not trying to stay the same, right? You're trying to become someone better. And that requires making better choices about where you spend your time and who you give it to. Jim Rohn said it best. And yes, that's me. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So let me ask you, who's in your 5? Do they challenge you? Do they encourage you? Do they remind you of who you said you wanted to become? Or do they drain you, distract you, keep you small? If you want to stay consistent, surround yourself with people who are consistent, people who live what you're trying to build, people who make excellence normal. If you want to fly higher, hang around people with wings. That's not philosophy, that's strategy. And let's not forget your digital environment too. What do you see when you open your phone? Who are you following? What kind of content are you feeding your mind with? Social media can be a tool or a trap. It can build you up or break you down. But either way, it shapes you. So be intentional. Here's how you upgrade your environment today. 1. Audit your circle. Who do you spend time with most? Are they aligned with your future, or only your past? 2. Declutter your space. Your environment reflects your mind. Clean space, clear focus. 3. Create a success zone. A desk, a corner, a playlist, a place where you only do focused work, with zero distractions. 4. Join a community. Find people on the same path. Accountability fuels consistency. You don't need a crowd, you need a crew. And one more thing, you weren't meant to do this alone. Consistency grows stronger in connection. Discipline is easier when you walk with others who are walking too. You can go fast alone, but you go far together. And your goal is to go far. Let's keep moving, because we've got more work to do. Even with the right environment, you're still going to slip. You're still going to fall off. But that doesn't mean you failed. Get back on the horse. Perfection is a lie. Now let me say this loud and clear. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be consistent enough to make progress. And if you've ever stumbled, good. If you've ever missed a day, skipped a workout, blown a plan, lost momentum, good. That means you're human. Welcome to the club. You see, this idea of perfection, it's a lie, a trap, a myth, a dangerous standard that keeps too many people stuck. Because here's what perfection says. If I can't do it flawlessly, I won't do it at all. But that mindset, that's not noble, it's destructive. Let me give it to you straight. Success doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence. You don't have to get it all right. You just have to keep coming back. You miss a day, come back. You overeat, come back. You skipped your reading, missed your goal, lost your focus, come back. Don't turn a stumble into a spiral. Don't let one bad moment write the whole story. You fell off, so what? Get back on the horse. Wipe the dust off. Learn the lesson, and move forward. Because here's the truth. Consistency isn't about never failing. It's about refusing to quit. Now let me ask you, what do you do when you fall short? Do you beat yourself up? Do you say, I knew I couldn't do it? Do you quit for a week, a month, a year? Or do you take responsibility and reset? Because the successful people I know, they fail often, but they recover fast. They don't sulk, they adjust. They don't retreat, they refocus. They don't quit, they commit again. Let me give you a few truths to remember. 1. Failure is feedback, not final. If you slipped, good. That's information. Use it. Learn. Sharpen your system. 2. One bad day doesn't ruin the journey. What ruins it is quitting, because you had one. Don't let a bad moment become a bad month. 3. You're not starting over, you're starting wiser. Every time you get back up, you bring more experience to the table. And let's talk about guilt for a moment. Guilt says, you messed up, so you don't deserve to try again. Discipline says, you messed up, so let's fix it and keep going. You don't need guilt, you need grace. Not the soft kind, the strong kind, the kind that says, I'm not quitting just because it got hard. I'm committed, even when I fall short. Now here's a powerful shift. Instead of asking, how can I never mess up again? Start asking, how can I recover faster next time? Create your bounce back plan. When I miss a day, I'll. When I feel discouraged, I'll. When I slip, I'll. That's the key. Prepare for the fall, so it doesn't break you. Because listen, the people who finish the race, they're not the fastest, they're not the cleanest, they're the ones who keep getting back up. That's you. So here's the challenge. This week, if you slip, don't disappear. Don't make a mistake, and then punish yourself for it. Get back to the plan. Get back to the work. Get back to the habits that got you here. Because you're not building a perfect life, you're building a resilient one. And resilient people don't stop when it gets messy. They rise anyway. Build a life that doesn't need motivation to keep moving. Now let's bring it all together. We've talked about motivation, how it comes, and how it goes. We've talked about discipline, clarity, purpose, habits, tracking, mindset, and environment. But if you remember one thing from this entire message, let it be this. You can't build a meaningful life on fleeting feelings. You build it on daily decisions. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire. And consistency, well, that's the fuel that keeps it burning. You don't need to wake up excited every morning. You don't need goosebumps, background music, or a motivational quote to do the work. What you do need is a system strong enough to carry you through the days when nothing inside you wants to show up. Because that's what separates those who start from those who finish. Listen, the goal isn't to feel like doing it. The goal is to do it even when you don't feel like it. That's maturity. That's mastery. That's self-leadership. You become the kind of person who can be counted on, not just by others but by yourself. Because at the end of the day, the greatest form of freedom is this: doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. That's power. That's character. That's what changes your life. And here's the beautiful part. When you no longer depend on motivation, you stop riding the roller coaster. You stop the starts and stops. You stop burning out and starting over. You stop negotiating with your future. Instead, you become predictable, reliable, consistent, strong. You build a rhythm, a reputation, a result. And when other people are still trying to feel ready, you've already lapped them with quiet, steady, consistent action. So what do you do now? You decide. You decide to show up again tomorrow. No fanfare required. You decide to stick to the plan, not the feeling. You decide to make your life work. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Because anyone can be great on a good day. But the ones who change the world, they show up, regardless of the day. Let me leave you with this. Motivation may start the engine, but habit drives the car. Purpose sets the destination. Discipline keeps your hands on the wheel. Now go. Build a life so structured, so aligned, so anchored in purpose,